Do not do any of these things. Now, if you're buying a house or you're planning to buy a house in the near future, this video will help you understand the things that you should not do. You want to have a smooth home buying journey, do the opposite of these things. Now, unfortunately, I have seen these. It's always sad to see. I'd love to help you get ahead of the game and prevent these from happening to you. Be sure to subscribe to this channel, share it with your friends. Who do you know needs to buy a house? Who do you know that's active in the industry? Share it with them as well. My name is Mike. I'm a mortgage originator, currently lending in 30 states. Be happy to help make your home buying journey a smooth one. Now, the main gist of these tips is to talk to your loan officer, okay? Everything depends on your loan officer understanding what you're planning to do. Because remember, as loan officers, we can't control anything. All we have is a snapshot of your financial information, your mortgage application that you gave us. It's a full picture of your income, your assets, your credit, everything we need to present your file to an underwriter to get you an approval to buy a house. If anything in that changes, we have to make sure it still looks good to the underwriter. It's important to make sure you communicate any changes to your loan officer before it happens, ideally, so that they can run the numbers and make sure it still fits within guidelines, fits the purchase price that you're wanting to make sure you can buy the house that you want. So make their job easy. They want to get you the keys in your hand, so help them help you. So these mistakes, they don't just blow you up out of underwriting. I'm not trying to say these are absolutely deal breakers. However, it's best to help your loan officer prepare and let them guide you on how to make sure that your change will fit within the guidelines, and they can explain that to the underwriter. Their job is to get you the house. We would hate for you to have gone through the pre-approval process, you've saved all this cash, you've been shopping for homes, negotiating offers, you finally got one accepted, and then just to have it get so difficult to close because of some things that changed. So if you just let them know ahead of time, they can guide you to make sure it's all the way smooth and prepare the documents, everything that's necessary to present that to the loan officer and shift the application. All right, here we go. Number 1, do not make any large purchases with either your cash on hand or your credit card. Or buying a new house, great. So happy you got that accepted contract. Let's make sure you have the keys in your hand. You've signed your loan documents before you go and buy furniture. Before you rack up your credit card on that new shed. You've got a great lawn and you're going to buy a ride-on lawnmower. We want to make sure you have enough cash to close on this transaction. So to avoid any delays, anything tricky at the end, just hold off on making those big purchases until you've closed. Number 2, do not quit or switch jobs, even within the same line of work. As loan officers, we have to verify that your income is consistent. You can maintain that level of pay in order to buy this house. Maybe it's a change of pay. Maybe it's salary going to an hourly job. Maybe it's the other side. So if you absolutely need to do one of these things, just let your loan officer know and say, hey, what does that do to my application? Is that going to affect my ability to buy this house? You also have to verify your employment as well. So that could cause delays on the back end if they need to track down your new employer and you need to pick up HR contact information. So if you do need to switch jobs, by all means. If you're going to quit your job outright, chances are that's going to change everything about the numbers. That's a whole level of income. If you're just one out of 2 people on a loan application, it's going to cut your approval amount in half, potentially, depending on how much income was there. So if you're going to quit your job, you might need to figure out something else before you can buy a house, okay? And depending what kind of job it is, it might take some time to be able to prove that new income to the underwriter. Number 3, do not leave town before talking to your loan officer, okay? And your agent will love this as well. If you're going to leave during this next 30-day period, please communicate that to everyone involved. Do not leave town, okay? It can be done. You can close a house from overseas. You can close a house in different countries. But the sooner your loan officer knows that, the better they can prepare, okay? Agents can take care of inspections with you. They can FaceTime. They can record video. Loan officers, we need to make sure you have access to your email, to your phone, that we can reach you, okay? And there's ways to sign documents overseas through e-closings. That's possible with the notary on a virtual call. They see you, they can attest your face, and they can see what you're signing. That can be done. It has to be communicated ahead of time so they can plan, okay? So do not leave town without talking to your loan officer. Make sure they know your schedule for the next 30 days. 4, do not deposit cash, mattress money, whatever it is. Don't deposit it without talking to your loan officer first. Do not even move money in between accounts. Even if it has your name on it, don't move it in between, okay? Talk to your loan officer first. I'm going to just say that over and over again. We have to verify where those funds come from. It's an Anti-Money Laundering Act regulation. Everything that you're going to use to close on this transaction, we have to verify comes from you, or if it comes from someone else, we have to verify it's a valid source, okay? Great that you have extra funds available. If it's something you've been keeping private, you dug it under the tree in the backyard, under your mattress, you probably got a sore back if you do. Don't deposit it without talking to your loan officer, okay? And trust me, it can make things very difficult if you move it in between accounts, because we have to track from where it started and move from each account that dollar amount until it gets to the final bank account that you're going to use for closing, okay? So in fact, even the final funds you bring to closing has to be from the same bank account that you told us it was going to come from. This can cause so many delays in underwriting and make your life very difficult, okay? I've seen this. Maybe it's your own account, but you share it with someone else. We have to verify that that person, if they're not on this transaction with you, that they've given you permission to use those funds. Maybe it comes from an account that you hold in an LLC. Okay, now we have to prove that that LLC belongs to you, that it does not negatively affect your income. Okay, we'll have to look at tax returns. Okay, this is what we would call in the industry pulling the thread. The moment you present a thread, we got to pull it. Okay, underwriters are going to scrutinize things. They go conservative. If they don't know, they're not just going to give it a pass. Okay, they're going to verify everything. So make sure that if you're going to move funds, it's something you can verify is yours. So maybe you're moving funds from retirement and you're selling stock, you're pulling from a line of credit. Now we have to get the documentation of that account, those statements, make sure the account numbers match, your name is on there, the bank information's on there, the period is on there, and then we have to show the funds being moved. Maybe it's the sale confirmation. If it's like a line of credit, we might have to get either the original note or wait till the statement's available to show what that new payment is, because now we have to count that payment and your debt to income ratio. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. Basically, everything has to be sourced. We say sourced meaning paper trail. So the best way to think about this is, even if you deposit funds in a bank account and you tell us, save that deposit receipt. That's how granular you have to think about it. Just the fact that they gave you a receipt at the bank that said, okay, you deposited $1,000 into this account. Save that, send it to your loan officer, okay? That's how specific we have to be. The last thing we want is that you've been verified, underwriter likes the file, but you moved some funds at the end, and now it causes delays to get you to closing, and you have to extend and hope the seller will sign the acceptance and not just go back on market. So very important. It seems like it's not a big deal because it's my account. Well, did you send them that bank statement? Are there other deposits from something that is not your employer? Okay, if you have a side business and there's deposits in there and you weren't using that business to qualify, well, now we've got to verify that business. Okay, so talk to your loan officer. Even if you're gifting funds, if mom and dad are giving you funds to close, awesome. Take them out to dinner afterwards. Make sure they know you love them. Now, depending on the program, there's more or less rules to this, but we have to verify that it's an acceptable source. Not everyone can gift you funds, and that it was their funds to begin with, okay? I'll leave it there. 5, do not throw away any documentation. Now, this could pertain more to folks that don't use any online sourcing of their maybe online banking, or they don't have a logon to look at their HR information online. You just never know what you might need. You need that pay stub from a few weeks ago. You might need that, going back to the last point, you might need that account statement after all because you move funds. So good rule of thumb is just don't throw away anything that you get in the mail from your employer or from your bank. Hold on to it. Once you close, you can toss and shred all that stuff as you like, but just be safe, right? The main thing is we get you closed on this house in time, and hold on to stuff in the event that it comes up. Hey, you might need to throw it in there just to say, okay, here's that statement you asked for. You'll be so much happier that you did. Number 6, do not throw away or disregard anything that comes in the mail or email asking you to sign. This happens all the time. Once your credit is pulled for a mortgage application, the hawks come out. All the other companies that just want to pose like your lender, they're going to say, we got this offer for you. Make sure you check this out. Check with your loan officer. Say, hey, is this you? Do I need to sign this? Because chances are it'll come from their domain name. Now, this could be different. For ours, it would be a rate.com domain. Maybe it's your escrow company. So check your purchase contract, who is either the attorney's office or the escrow company that's dictating the third party, facilitating the transaction. So if it's not one of those two, just verify, hey, before I throw this out, Mr. Loan Officer, is this something that is from you guys? And then you can throw it out. But the last thing you want is to have something that needs to be signed and everything's waiting because you just didn't verify that, hey, I needed to be signed. So it should come with instructions from either your loan officer or the company. Hey, make sure you sign this. Here's the code, it's the zip code, whatever, of your property to sign that, and then we can move forward and disclose that for you. So check with your loan officer before you throw anything away. Number 7, do not write a personal check for your final cash to close. I know, if you haven't done a transaction before, you wouldn't know that. All the funds to be used in the closing are going to come from either a cashier's check or a wire. Okay, cashier's check, guaranteed funds directly from the bank, pulls it directly, and once escrow deposits that, funds are there instantly. Okay, that's cashier's check. There's a fee usually with your bank. Money order is usually a smaller amount, so just when you're using your final cash to close amount, make sure you have the amount who it's going to be written out to. Okay, it needs to be written out when they print the check for you. It's going to my escrow company, my attorney's office. Don't put it in your lender's name. They might be happy, you might not. Put it in the escrow company's name. Say it's this amount, here's my loan number, put that on the memo line. Use that. Bring that to your closing table. Bring that and give that to your notary, whoever is doing your closing. Okay. If it's a wire, call the escrow company first to verify, hey, this is still correct. This is the right routing number. This is the right account number from right transaction. Make sure they know. Okay, it has to be brought in the form of wire. So in addition to that, here's a tip that goes back to my travel tip. When you get that purchase contract accepted, your lender says, okay, we're closing in such and such time. There's the estimate of how much we're going to need to close. Great. Now, if you're traveling during that time, good idea to call your bank and say, hey, do I need to be present at the bank to wire the funds? And is there a max amount that I'm allowed to wire? Okay. If you're in person, there's usually no cap, obviously, to wire as long as you have the funds in there. But depending on your bank, there might be a limit. Okay, if you're not here, we can only allow you to wire so much funds. This could depend on your relationship with the bank or the type of bank, but it's all different. Okay, so if you're going to be traveling, just make sure that you can actually have your bank wire the funds for your closing without you physically being there authorizing it. Okay, signing on the dotted line in wet ink. It can be done over the phone in multiple banks. They might not require you to be there, but it's different per bank. So before you leave town, if you're in the military doing a VA loan and you're going to be deployed overseas, make sure you have arrangements like that so that you can wire the funds to close the transaction. I've seen it before. It's not fun. So call the bank and make sure it's either a cashier's check or a wire. I don't know why I made that sound. Try to turn this into a don't phrasing. Don't dip out on the signing appointment. What I'm really trying to say is make sure everyone that's going to be on title is present at closing. Maybe you're on the loan, but mom and dad are on title with you, or you're on the loan and your wife's not on the loan, vice versa, the spouse isn't on the loan, but they're going to be on title. Make sure they are there with you at signing. They need to take work off, take the 30 minutes, go meet your notary, go to the escrow office, whatever it is. They need to be there with you. They have documents to sign as well, okay? Because even though they're not on the mortgage, they have to sign that. They understand there's a mortgage on this property. So if something happens and payments are not being made, they're signing off and saying, hey, I know that my ownership is still subject to this being paid. So they need to be there to sign everything along. They're not going to sign as much as you, but they need to sign there as well. So don't dip out or don't assume if I'm not on the loan, I don't need to be at signing. Phrase it however you want, but make sure everyone's there to sign. Number 9. I also don't know how to turn this into a don't statement. Okay, so there's a timeline to close, okay? If you're closing, there's signing, you sign the documents, funding, you give your funds, lender then gives their funds, and then there's recording, or in the other sense could be closing. Okay, closing, you get keys, record at the Bureau of Conveyance, you own the property here. So between those three, there could be some time involved. It could be just one business day. So you sign one day and then you fund record the next business day. So just know that when we say closing, you're talking about the last day. We would say signing is okay. Make sure you meet your notary, bring your funds so that you can tell the loan closers the next day, okay, documents are back at escrow. We're going to go ahead and fund a loan for borrower, and can you please record this so they have ownership? So that could be a business day. If you're at places like Hawaii, that could be 4 days. Okay, you might sign Monday and then skip Tuesday, and then maybe Wednesday. I don't know my days. Wednesday you fund, the next day you record. That's a 4-day gap. And if you're doing a refinance, it could be even longer because there's what's called the rescission period. You have 3 business days after the time you sign where the lender has to give you the ability to cancel. So just know that just because you sign that day doesn't necessarily mean you're going to fund that day, get keys that day. So verify with your loan officer, what's my closing schedule? Don't assume that signing day is move-in day. Maybe that's the way to do it. Number 10, you made it. If you watched it this far, good on you. You really want to make sure you have a smooth underwriting process. So kudos. I also don't know a don't way to say this. Ask questions. Don't hold your questions in. If you have questions or concerns, talk to your loan officer. Moral of the story of all of this, talk to your loan officer. Make sure they know what you're concerned about. If you're confused by the process, if maybe a processor mentioned something different than what you and your loan officer discussed, maybe a realtor mentioned something that you're just not sure about, talk to your loan officer. Make sure you got an open door. So if you're going to pick a loan officer, make sure you like their communication style. Maybe they pick up the phone when you call, or if not, they tell you when they can call you back. You can access them by email or text. That's critical. Communication is one of the biggest things about getting a loan closed. So if you're going to hire a loan officer and an agent, make sure you like their communication style and their timing of that communication. If it takes 2 days to hear from your loan officer, you might want to go somewhere else. Call me. So that's 10 things to make your life a lot easier. 10 mistakes to make in underwriting that you should avoid. Do the opposite. Do the good stuff, and it can be a very smooth home buying journey. Your loan officer wants to get you into the house. They want to get you keys, help make their lives easy, and your agent too for that matter. So send them what they need, communicate anything along the way, and you'll have keys in no time. I'm lending in 30 states. If you need a great loan officer that will talk to you and help you walk through these things, explain guidelines, and even for a fully underwritten pre-approval, call or text me, area code 808-721-1071. Information down there below in the description. Thanks for watching. Like, comment on your mistakes that you've seen, maybe not by you or someone else, things you learned in the home purchasing journey, and subscribe. See you in the next video.